Hello, people on the internet. My name is Sketchbooks, and today I'm here for a very special sketchbook tour. Ooh.
Real quick, I need to apologize for my audio. I recorded this video and then I recorded it again. So the audio in this is terrible. I know all the audio in all my videos is terrible. Working on it. I got a microphone. We're good now. Okay, on to the video.
So I have been drawing in a sketchbook every single day since I was 11, and before that I would draw it in my diaries. So I want to give you a tour of what it looks like and how your art can progress when you draw every single day since you are 11. And I'm not going to be showing you every single drawing I made, just like a smattering and sampling of work I would make throughout the year so you can see my art progression and my style progression. And if you'd like to see more sketchbook tours, I literally have a million of these. I used to average filling a sketchbook like once every month-ish. Granted, like I wasn't truly like, filling every single section of the page like you'll see in a minute, but I think that that's still an accomplishment, and I'm a bit slower now, but let's get into my first sketchbook from when I was 11 years old. This was my first sketchbook from when I was 11, and I remember, or at least the first one that I worked in very regularly every day and that I was really proud of, and I would take it everywhere. And I remember there being some cringe in here, but it's not too bad for an 11-year-old. So I remember I really loved Copic markers, and I love this one pen that I bought from Michael, so I used that a lot. And my interest mainly consisted of drawing girls and like, fantasy situations, and like I drew a lot of like weird angsty stuff, and I did a tiny bit of watercolor. Here I am doing like different nature stuff, and I drew a lot of dancers, and I had this thing where like I thought noses were really hard to draw, so I just didn't draw them. And I remember in fifth grade, my art was like slightly influenced by anime. Oh, there's some Taylor Swift fan art. Let's go. Um, and oh, here's some more Taylor Swift fan art. And I remember I was like taking lyrics. I wanted to make like a dark, edgy twist to them. I was an edgy little fuck. This is when I drew outside at a garden on a field trip. That was actually a really fun day. I remember being really proud of this dandelion drawing. And I was really into like colorful hair. And like I said, I had like a slight anime tinge to my style. Here I am drawing, full body anatomy. That was back at that field trip. I remember there was a pond there that I drew the pond. And oh, that was inspired by Monster High. I could not draw animals for the life of me, but I hung out with the furry kids, as all art kids do. So I started to draw furries. Ooh, that skull looks like a golf ball. Um, and I was just really into these Copic marker knockoffs that I bought from Amazon, and I just used them on absolutely everything. Obviously, anatomy was not my strong suit, but I had like fun. Oh, more Taylor Swift fan art. Look at that. I had a lot of fun just, doodling. I love mermaids. And you'll see that, like, as my drawings got more sophisticated, like, I still sort of do the same style of stuff or, like, same type of work as later on. Like, right here, you're seeing a girl with, like, mushrooms talking, growing out of her head, talking to, like, a deer. Oh, Gravity Falls fan art, but I did a gender bent version of Robbie. That's interesting. I remember being really proud of this, and I think I drew it from my mom's friend's tea company, and it just has a massive booby that's like a circle. Oh, this is my self-portrait. So in fifth grade, I would wear this like cheetah sweater, and I would wear these cat ears, and I had pink hair, and I thought I was so cool, and then I still have pink hair now, so maybe I wasn't that wrong. Yeah, there's Cat's Meow self-portrait. I guess this is when I started dating and naming things. Rainbow hair, ooh. I think I diverged from Taylor Swift because I was listening to Train when I wrote that. It was Angel and Blue Jeans. As you can see, I did not really care about drawing big or taking up the whole picture or like filling the sketchbook really densely, which is something I focus on now. This was like something I was experimenting with was like original characters. Oh my gosh, this is my emo character Emily, and I'm not really into. Oh, I figured out how to draw noses by this time. That's good, but I just wasn't super into doing original characters now. But everyone online was doing it, so I felt like I had to, and I just wanted to be included. This was ugly. Hello, I see you finished my sketchbook. I was age 11. I don't know why I wrote my middle name, but whatever. Next up is like around eighth grade. I skipped like the true harrowing middle school seventh grade year just for funsies. But if we can look at those in another day, those are like my real deep dark days. Is my cringe seventh grade sketchbook, but my eighth grade sketchbook is a bit more tame. This plane I was really just trying to practice and learn anatomy, and you can see like I really tried to like study my craft in this one. So let's get into it. By this time, I don't think I used much Copic markers. I think I like used them only out of guilt. But I was hanging out with the furries still, and I was hanging out with different furries who drew dragons. So I was trying to figure out how to draw dragons. And here I am, like making notes in my sketchbook, trying to figure out my anatomy. But you can see the anatomy's come a long way from sixth grade. I hated that the pencil would smudge in this, so that kind of sucks. But Batman villains, and these are just some random stuff. Oh, we have Donald Trump. So I think this was in like 2018 or so. So he had just become president the first time. Awesome. This is when I watched Saving Private Ryan with my dad. So I made fan art. This was like a lot of me just drawing with my friends and having fun and like not worrying about things being crazy. So I doodled a lot. These were studies from different drawings I saw online because I was trying to make my own creature. So I applied that design logic to this orc, and then I drew 2D from gorillas, some tattoo design things. These are just like little. I would do this exercise a lot where I put on music and I would draw for the duration of the song, like a little doodle. So I did that a lot. You'll see that a lot in here. Here I am still trying to do like OC stuff, and it's my girl Kelly, and I wanted to make this like comic thing for a while about it, but I never ended up doing it because comics are too much work. Here I am just drawing my friends, drawing what's around me. I drew a lot more from life, and I think that's a big telltale sign for my improvement. Here I am trying to figure out how to draw wolves, and I got better. You can study things and really figure them out. I was reading The Hobbit, so I drew The Hobbit, where they find Smaug. I did more self-portraiture. I like to draw myself in the style of gorillas a lot because I felt kind of like a grimy, little gross thing, and I think gorillas represented that well. More furry stuff. I like these fish in this hair, I remember. More random stuff, more doodles. Here I am using my Copic markers out of Guilt. More Copic markers out of Guilt stuff. Little satyr boy. Trying to draw legs, and I made them fun by putting these weird cat heads on them. More animal studies, more trying to get better at drawing things that aren't humans. These were studies of creepy drawings I found online. I'm still an eighth grader, so I'm still edgy. I had these really fun, like, markers that would spray, I don't know what that's called, like airbrush markers. So I was experimenting with those. My friend drew her furry stuff in there. Um, and I tried to copy it and apply it to my own stuff. Here I am writing about my art and my goals for 2018. So this is interesting. Improve realism portraits, a bunch of other stuff. You can pause to read it. As you can see, it says Lana Del Rey sketches. So I was still very much into fan art, and I thought it was just fun to draw different celebrities I like, and I really do encourage that for sketchbooks when you're just first starting out. Obviously, I don't think making fan art for like finished pieces is probably a good idea. Oh, speaking of, here's some danger days. But I think that for just getting yourself to draw and having fun, it's a nice, easy way. Oh, Dan Howell. Oh, Dan and Phil fan art. That's how you know I was an eighth grader. As I was drawing Dan and Phil, and like tattooed girls with piercings. I was so bisexual eighth grade. It's not even funny. But I think that just drawing whatever makes you happy and whatever gets you to draw, especially when you're young and you're exploring in your sketchbook, is really key to learning how to improve because it gets you drawing. And like I said, drawing humans and drawing faces is never, honestly, never bad practice because they're so complicated and getting a likeness is so difficult to nail down that just practicing it kind of on any subject is a valuable exercise in my opinion. But in the sketchbook, I was just sort of doodling. I was doing a lot of unserious sketching. I didn't really care about finishing stuff or making things look nice. So this was my other sketchbook that I left at my aunt's house, but then I finally got it back. And I feel like I should mention Mr. Donut. So Mr. Donut was a scary little donut guy that you'll see pop up around because I drew him a lot. These are my sister and my cousin as trolls because I'm so funny. Black Panther had just come out. We have some Cobra sketches or something, a little seagull popping out there, as you can see. Oh, we have some cancer drawings. That's nice, Sarah. I think I was sad at this point. Can you guys tell? I was not doing so well. That's the house I used to live at. Mr. Donut in sexy stripper heels and a thong and thigh highs. That's nice. Some random doodles of different people. Oh, this is when I first got into like doing figure drawing. So this is when I learned that you can draw naked people to improve. So I would go online and I would look up figure drawing classes to try to improve my anatomy. As you can see, it's not great, but it's a lot better than where we started. So more animal drawings. As you can see, I just really was not confident in my ability to draw different animals and subject matters. And honestly, now I'm at the point where I feel like I could pretty much draw anything. Oh, we got some Disney, Tim Burton, Rapunzel art. That's nice. More Copic markers. We have some sexy little alien ladies. The seagull is back. He's nice and round. I like him. He's good. We have a lady holding a skull in a bathtub, just standard stuff. I like started writing in here too. I think I'm writing about my parents' divorce, so I guess that's why I was sad. Here's me drawing in class. I did not take a lot of this seriously. I remember I drew this in a library. this is kind of a rough time for me. I'm not gonna lie. Like a lot of the drawing I did was like not very happy, and I was not very happy. So I think you can see that in my sketchbook. You know, a lot of stuff is just me laying around and doing whatever. Oh, so this is fun. This is when I did Animal Farm and I got assigned a courtroom sketch artist role. And I had to draw the chicken massacre that happens in the book. So that's why there's a bunch of bloody chickens. This is some like mild choice of on fan art because I loved Blue Neighborhood when I was a kid. Oh my god, I love that album. Random Tree. This is me doing courtroom sketches for like our mock sketch in 8th grade. So I was just drawing all my classmates at the witness stand. I was watching Stranger Things, Little Snake with Wings, more Stranger Things stuff. I love the little newt guy things. I thought they were so cute. More drawings. This is when I was just sort of doodling. Oh, that was like a Helsinki Accord Facebook, or what's that called? Political cartoon for my 8th grade class. This is more doodling, more drawings that I never finished because I just, like I said, I didn't really feel this need to like finish everything. My sketchbook was just, I showed it to other people, but you know, it was really just for me. More My Chemical Romance fan art, more Tim Burton. Oh, there's me as a Tim Burton. So my style had changed a little bit dressing wise. Oh, I like this page. I am the magical sketchbook fairy. That's nice. So let's go on to the next one. This was in 2019. I think I'm a bit happier now, and I'm in high school. This is where I started getting like fancy with my sketchbooks and I started making these lists and making them really nice and really putting a lot of effort into them. And this is sort of where I came into my sketchbook Sarah ness. And don't worry about me showing any of my personal information because that is none of this is true anymore. So don't bother calling me or anything like that, I guess. So this one is 2019. And I did remove some of the stuff in here to like put in my binders and on my walls and stuff. So some of the nicer pages are honestly taking out of here. But we still got some nice stuff. So this is a study I did of Moonlight and some other things. These were some facial studies I did. One of them is Emma Watson, I recognize. And I was still like journaling in my sketchbook as well. And I really like this drawing. I remember I would wake up really early and I would drive to school and it would be like dark and I'd watch the sunrise every day. And I went to an art high school, so this was a very exciting thing for me that I got to go to art school. This was when I did like a character design workshop through my school where we had like a character design artist come and like teach us his methods. So I used that to design this like old headmistress lady and then I drew this witch who's spilling tea everywhere. She's getting it absolutely everywhere. And this little pirate, and I was just stuck in a bunch of random stuff in here, as you can see. And I just sort of worried more about the blank pages, some landscape designs, and I just worried more about like composition and filling every page. Although I didn't really bother about making sure every single back page was filled because I would use mediums that would bleed through sometimes, and low key it was just easier to finish a sketchbook when I didn't draw on the back. These were some screen print designs. I ended up making this fish because I made it on a shirt. Turned out pretty good. These are some anatomy studies of different dynamic poses. As you can see, I'm getting a lot better at anatomy. I ended up making this drawing. This was a sketch. I really wanted to be a courtroom sketch artist at the time, so I went with my dad and he was trying to sue someone. Because my dad's always trying to sue people. That's nice. More drawings. I took the PSAT, so I wrote about it and I drew a PSAT hippie, I guess. And I drew some daffodils because it was spring. Things were finally springing. Me as a little goth, hot topic ass witch with a little rat on my shoulder. I still had like the red ends of my hair, as you can see, little trinkets that I had, little demon lady with her tits out, because why not? You know what I mean? And just a bunch of other stuff. I actually did a commission for Sketchbook, so I was a feature artist 1 month, so that was cool. More studies from Pinterest and watercolor. I changed paper here and I started using this mixed media paper that I was obsessed with, but it always fell apart. That's more stuff from Moonlight, my doggy. And it held up pretty well and it could handle watercolor pretty well. And I used watercolor a lot. But these rings of this binder would always come apart and I would always lose pages on all my other sketchbooks. So it pissed me off. So I switched to Moleskines. I switched to like bound sketchbooks and I've never gone back. More anatomy studies, more drawing from bigger drawings that I've never done, but it's good to plan. Even your ideas you don't do, you should plan them and write them down. I was watching a lot of art videos, so I was like experimenting with my style and trying to get more into cartoons and just figuring out what I liked and just having a lot of fun. So this was my review at the end about if I completed any of my goals. So let's go on to the next one from 2019. Some of my goals were to use gouache that I misspelled, make it look nice, etc., and like do more diaristic stuff. So I went to Wash Park with my dad that day, and I drew all the stuff that we did. We went to this lake, and we drove around on these little carts, and I stuck in a little feather. And this is what I was talking about, where all my pages would fall out. So you see how these are all taped in with washi tape because everything was falling out. I was really pissed. And I got more into like taping it, different things in. I had this character, Ramen Girl. I would just draw this girl eating ramen with like a fun expression on her face all the time. And I was hanging out with my friends and drawing a lot with my friends. Mermaid, I'm still obsessed with mermaids. They're more sophisticated now, they got like jewelry and nets and shit. I taped in some random stuff from a collage project I was working on for class, more drawings to plan for different things. I was trying to make different ideas for different large scale paintings in here. I would doodle on different things and then tape them in. I was always doodling. This was when my friend would take my sketchbook and drew her version of Ramen Girl. We would like trade our sketchbooks back and forth a lot. It was a lot of fun. I was trying to get into drawing more houses and architecture. Here's us doodling. I would think it was around October or so, so we were drawing more spooky Halloween stuff. Oh, this is like when I was. Oh no, this was around summer. Never mind. I'm just spooky all year round. So this was when I was planning different ideas for my AP art, and I was just trying to come up with different ideas, and I wrote them at the top, and then obviously I didn't do anything with them. So that was a really good, smart idea. This is my sister's hamster. These are a bunch of different drawings for a that comic I was talking about wanting to do. And I remember by this point I was feeling pretty frustrated and that my sketchbook was like ugly, but I look back on it and I feel like when you get too bogged down about worrying about your sketchbook being ugly, then you forget that you have a lot of really good pages in here. Like I really love this page. I visited my grandma and I just did a study of her backyard and her neighbor's house, and I always ate these double stuffed Oreos at her house. They were golden ones. And I'm really proud of this, and it's like a nice little snapshot into my life as an eighth grader, and I have like some me rambling about, whatever. I'm always ranting about something in here. This is when I was back east visiting my family. I was watching BuzzFeed Unsolved, so I drew BuzzFeed Unsolved. I was trying to draw more men. More Daniel Howell. I never left that out. I went to the beach. I drew this lady's hair because I thought it was nice. I was just testing out a bunch of different materials. This is when I went to my aunt's house. So I was still visiting family. I was still not at home. I didn't have all of my materials. So I was just doing a lot of drawing with like a lot of random supplies. This is when the Ariel remake came out, and we played Monopoly, and I drew the Monopoly man snorting cocaine. So I was in high school. That's what you do when you're in high school. I like this cat though. This cat's nice. They have the cutest cats, and they would always hang around me, so I would draw the cats, and they loved me, so they would sit on my lap while I drew them. More post studies. I was trying to try out like a character style, and I am now a caricature artist, so paid off, I guess. There's Peter Dinklage. I hated this drawing, but my sister really liked it, so I posted it to my Instagram anyway. These were different little planning things. This was supposed to be a drawing of me crying with a peace sign. Me doing more of that drawing, doodling thing I talked about with different songs. You didn't believe me that I went to the Satanic Temple as a child. There's some proof. I was raised atheist, and I went to the Satanic Temple for fun with my father, because that's what you do. Little designs I made for a sticker. This is for a mini golf place around me. I just drew their main characters. I think I was in line. I remember I was in line waiting to get my driver's license when I drew that. Different logo designs. And by this point, I was kind of sick of the sketchbook. I just wanted it to be over with. So I was just trying to fill it with like random crap. And I would draw these random characters and then add little sayings to them. There's Mr. Donut, little walrus. God's mistake, I labeled it. So you can tell I was really proud of that drawing. Okay, on to the next one. So we're into sophomore year now. I'm 15, and like I said, don't call that number because it's not my phone number anymore. And I started this with a little acrylic painting because I screwed up the first page. That's a great tip. If you screw something up, just cover it with acrylic paint. So I got sick of binding, having to do with the binding of my old pages, so I switched to a bound sketchbook. This was a drawing I did of my friend Samara that I never finished. I like this. I did it a lot in class, so I drew people in class. I was trying to practice my perspective and just, like I said, just keep getting better at the things I'm bad at. I was really into these ideas of these little comic things. I thought they were really cute, of these like one-page comics. I tried to draw my friends, and then I did not do well, so I covered that one. More covering acrylic. Every time you see acrylic in my sketchbook, it's usually because I fucked up and I have to cover something. My friends and I had this tradition where we'd go out to pizza, so I really quickly sketched that, and I like this impressionistic thing. This is on Christmas. I drew my doggy cuddled up by the fire, and then I got this gouache set for Christmas that I enjoyed, and I still use it to this day. It's like my favorite gouache set. I took it to Italy with me. So I went to the mall and I would draw random strangers from life because drawing from life is super important. I was really into this artist Squid Liquor. This is a cover up page. I really like the song I'm Everyone Else by Declan McKenna at the time. I was just trying to do a bunch of different drawings for class and trying to figure out what I wanted to make for class. This was another figure drawing session. I remember I was really proud of this one using that gouache set. I like these pages. These were good. So this is me still trying to figure out what the hell I'm trying to do for my what's it called, my AP art. As you can see, I've always been a communist. These are drawings I did at Red Robin. That's my little sister during her lesbian headband phase. That was fun. I made this into a little sculpture, and this was a drawing I remember I made for one of my history classes. I went out to a Mexican restaurant. More sculpture ideas. I like these like little spidery women type things. Little lady, another sculpture I made of a reverse mermaid. I did end up making that one for class. It did not come out well. More drawings. Emo farmer that my friend drew. My friends and I would pass our sketchbooks between each other. I think that's supposed to be Mickey from Shameless. I was watching a lot of Shameless. I drew these rats in Costco, I remember. I took my sketchbook absolutely everywhere with me. I had this idea for these two masks, like a sheep mask and a fox mask that I never made. I was so much more multimedia than I remember being. I remember making this painting where this painting I did was a color test for this painting where this guy was holding a frame, and I think it came out really well. I was trying to get better at sculpting. This was during winter, and I think everything is really ugly. But I went to a lake with my sister, and I tried to paint the lake in winter because I thought it'd be a challenge. So there's my sister feeding the ducks because it's just kind of a lot of blobs of crap. You know what I mean? Like winter to me just looks like a lot of blobs of gray and piles of stuff like that looks like unorganized, which is kind of a weird way, but I just don't like it. This is when I got a commission from the Major League Baseball for the Colorado Rockies to design one of their series posters, and then it got canceled because of COVID. And there I am falling asleep on my Zoom. I think this is during COVID already, so this was cool. Cars, because I'm terrible at cars. I was still trying to get better at perspective. More anatomy. I screwed up this anatomy when I love drawing mermaids still. That concludes the sketchbook. I have a random eyelash in here that's stuck there, and I have a bunch of random mementos. That's the great thing about these moleskins is you can keep random stuff in the back. So I just have random things that I stuck in the back of here. This is a little painting I never finished. Um, this is a ticket from a light show my mom and I attended, and a feather from the goose from the park. So you can stick all sorts of stuff in this little pocket back here. Moving right along to 2020 number 2. So we are balls deep into COVID at this point, and I just wanted to try out a little pink sketchbook. So here we are. This is when I was like first starting to run my Etsy store like really seriously. So you'll see me in the beginning doing a lot of different drawings for that and designing a bunch of different things. I like this mushroom page. I made a poster out of that, and I sold that as a print on my Etsy. And I used plane tickets to like cover this up because the gouache would smudge and like ruin and like rub together, and I hated that. So here I am making different pin designs for little shrinky dink pins I made. That's what I first started out doing on my Etsy shop, and it was a lot of fun. I made little earrings, I made little various designs, and I drew them out all on shrinky dink. This is like when I felt like I was kind of in a rut. I was just like not really happy with my art, so I was just trying to experiment and explore a lot. That's usually what I do. And this is when I first got into what's it called, printmaking, and this is when I worked my retail job, and I hated my life, but I would draw at work on these little pieces of paper, and I would stick them into my sketchbook afterwards. So if you see a lot of little things stuck in here, that's why. This is when Folklore first came out, the Taylor Swift album, and I was obsessed. So I like listened to it, and I drew all different lyrics that I was inspired by, and then I wrote little things, and I drew inspired by it. This is like during online classes. I was bored as fuck, and I remember I would draw these in my class on Zoom because I just hated my life, and I was just like, at least I can draw in my sketchbook. This is drawings of cowgirls, and I fucked up the hand so bad. It looks so bad, but it's okay. This is like a color study I did for a painting I made larger. As you can see, I'm like doing a lot of writing in here, and like still I'm doing a lot of collage, and I'm just throwing a bunch of stuff in here, and I'm filling it to the max. By this point, I really like the idea of like a dense sketchbook. Oh my god, Interview the Vampire! My gay Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt fan art. I love that movie. I like this sketchbook a lot. My friend had Dobermans, so I wanted to draw Dobermans. I recently got Copic markers. Oh my god, it's JFK.
Nothing bad ever happens to the Kennedys! Wow!
Do you guys remember that from COVID when everyone was obsessed with Clone High? I was. I loved Clone High. These are more Shrinky Dink designs. Someone got these tattooed. These also did well on TikTok. And someone got some of these possum tattoos sketched. Like this middle one here that I'm pointing to got sketched. And then the top one, someone else got tattooed on them. So those two were tattoos. This is Narcissus looking into his pinned Zoom profile on Zoom because that's how I felt because I would just stare at myself in the Zoom. This is when I was listening to, what's it called? Panic at the Disco's first album. Drawing shoes. I still like the shoe thing. More ideas for my next AP sustained investigation because I had to do it twice in high school and I hated my life. This is a JC Leyendecker study. Chicken. I'm writing a lot in here, mostly about how I'm depressed and I'm like not doing well. So you don't need to read it, but it's not happy stuff for sure. I might cover a lot of this actually because it's like some of it's personal. I used it as my diary, this little deer that I enjoyed. More designs with the what's it called? The carving. Oh my god, my Brokeback Mountain fan art. Ah! I loved Brokeback Mountain, so I drew Brokeback Mountain. And then I drew the same spread but with a Hannibal, because me and my friend were watching Hannibal at the time, so I just need to get the gay cringe fan art out of my system. And that's what the sketchbook is for. It's for the gay cringe fan art that you make of serial killers making out. You know what I mean? That's what life is all about when you're when you're 15. I love this exercise I did where I would draw like blobs on a page and then I would try to come up with different characters or shapes or just drawings within the blob. So I did that a lot and I did all different kinds of people and I was just doodling. By this point, I was just trying to fill the thing. So I gave it to my sister and I let her go buck wild. I said, fill this whole page with doodles. I like this ending though. I tried to end pages with self-portraits and I did this makeup look and I did like a cartoon version of it. So we're on to 2020 again. This is over the summer and we're still in COVID and I still want to die. And by this point I was really into doing the self-portraiture to begin and end the sketchbook. This is my sister eating cake and her lesbian headband phase. There's a mermaid with a really thin wrist I fucked up and I tried to make this little animation based off a coin song. More ideas for my AP sustained investigation. Here I am trying to come up with enough ideas to fill a whole sustained investigation. So here's me pointing out all the ways capitalism sucks because, I've been a communist since day one, baby. McCarthyism would have my ass with how much I rag on capitalism. I like this bug page. I was using a lot more watercolor in the sketchbook and I wrote a little poem here and I drew it next to this witch holding a goose. So you can pause to read if you want. Different little patch designs, little Shiba Inu. I was like, this is when I first, I think, starting to get into like recording myself and being on TikTok. I was still like not super comfortable there. This is when I stayed at my uncle's house. I really like this comic. I wish I finished it. I was big into cowboys at this point. This is a drawing for my English class for their eyes were watching God, I'm pretty sure. More character designs for Kelly. I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do with her. I was thinking about changing her design pretty dramatically. I just didn't because I felt like she was too similar to like my other one from when I was a kid. I got these crappy markers from Target that were like paint pens and they bled through everything, so I was using those. Doodles, this is Harry Styles, arm, and then look, I was Charlie XX before I even knew what that was. We got Green Brat. So that's a fun little nod from the future. I watched Midsummer, which I love. This is the theme I ended up choosing, so I was trying to make a mind map that I ended up just doing on the other page. So this is me like mind mapping and like figuring out what I wanted to do for my sustained investigation. So I finally decided on topic. Here I am, balls deep in my fantasy phase, so I'm just really sketching out like I'm planning for pieces rather than trying to make finished sketches. I went to a farm and I sketched all the animals on the farm. This is Lucy, and Clyde the rooster was apparently an asshole in this little wheelbarrow. These dogs were so fun and sweet, and I took my sketchbook out to the pastures and tried to draw the horses, but they were hard to draw because they kept coming up to me and they kept moving. So here I am trying to just keep using my sketchbooks and my Copic markers out of guilt because, they're so expensive. More little comic ideas of this like little ghosty guy. I remember one of these comics would just sort of be like vibes based and like not anything like really rooted in anything deeper, just sort of like to express how I was feeling at the time, but nothing concrete. So that's what those two were about, where it's like me and this ghost guy hanging out, and he just sort of gives me life advice. Pete Wentz, because I thought he was attractive. Oh my god, get fan art! Oh, this is so bad. It's my grandma. I can't get over this. Who am I but cringe? More little sculpture ideas. I had this little clown lady. I wanted to do the spread of like different like fashion looks, but I never finished it. But she's cute. I like her. I used gold paint. That was fun. This is me drawing the different phases of my life when I was a kid, like a fucking edgy 12-year-old, and then where I was then, but never finished that one. And more comic. No, that's not a comic. That's just little landscape drawings and boxes. I like drawing animals saying the word penis, but I'm a really mature person, guys. Little hand studies, and I was just doodling a lot. More fucking Fall Out Boy fan art because I'm so cringe. Quails. I like this page. The gouache came out nice. I like the gouache next to the pencil sketches. I think that the colors I used were nice. Drawings from random crap around my room that I did not spend any time on. I was listening to Fall Out Boy lyrics and just drawing because I'm so cringe. On to the next one.
Some of these drawings are from freshman year and some of them are from sophomore year. So at the beginning are some freshman year drawings. This was inspired by Billie Eilish, I remember. These are some Lana Del Rey lyrics with some plants that I drew. I remember these plants are ones that I found in my backyard. This was like a drawing I did inspired by flesh.png. This was cool. I like this. I was really into watching like the Cal Art sketchbooks on YouTube, so I wanted to try out something that was interactive. So I made this like 4-page style drawing. That's cool. This was at this farm that I used to go to when I was a kid that I miss, called White Fence Farm. They shut it down. These were I was out with my mom. I remember we were going to the art museum and I went to Denver that day. Random stuff, Jessica Rabbit, because I think she's fun and I draw her a lot for some reason. Hello, future Sarah here. So that's me just explaining whatever the sketchbook was and why I randomly picked it up and started. I remember I brought this sketchbook to show to colleges to get feedback on for my portfolio, and they really liked these pages in particular. I remember they were like, oh, I love this spread, like I love your abstraction, and I do agree this is a good set. I just used like a gouache thing. I was really thick and Harry Styles lyrics, nothing wrong with some good old-fashioned cringe lyric drawings, unleash your inner Tumblr girl. More figure drawing where I'm taking notes. I remember I was proud of some of these. I got invited to a church for some reason, and I just drew all the people in the church because I didn't want to be there. I think I painted that when I was watching Brokeback Mountain, those mountains right there. This is when I went to a bar, and this is in my neighborhood. I went to a lot of bars a lot, so I draw people there, like different pubs and stuff. Oh, this is when I still thought I wanted to be an animator, so this is me doing like character designs and turnarounds and things like that. This is just random sketches, fun stuff, different painting outside. This was like I had to do a big long-term project, so I was doing sketches for that. These are doodles. I really liked how these came out. I remember like my art teacher was like, you should explore more of this in your fine art, and that's more of what I do now. This is like some card design ideas I had. I was testing out my watercolors. I like those jellyfish. This was for a project we had to do inspired by the artist Jeremy Fish, so we had to like mash a bunch of different elements together for this project. Some more figure drawings, real quick stuff. This was inside of this greasy fast food place I used to go to all the time. Oh my god, I miss this place. It was always like rats and like children working on the counter. It was so great. Acrylic paint, random doodles. I was drawing my sister and I screwed it up really badly, so I had to cover it with a sticky note. This was in my art class. I just drew all the stuff on the wall and the girl sitting there. This was for my history class where we had to like design something. Just a bunch of random stuff, more blob drawings. I loved doing that exercise back then. Some tree designs. I was trying to, just show my design chops. Little New Yorker drawing and a cow painting, and that is it. Moving right along to my second semester of junior year of high school, I continue with my tradition of starting a sketchbook with a little self-portrait here, which I did in watercolor, and I really like this sketchbook, especially these beginning pages. Like, I love this spread. There's Adam Driver because I think he's a cutie pie, and I love the way that her portrait came out. These were unfortunately some water damaged sketches that I did when I was like in Chicago. I think my backpack got flooded and it totally destroyed my sketchbook, but it's fine, whatever. It's a sketchbook. I have a million of them. I did a lot more writing in these back then. Like, I sort of was like frustrated with like not having like a clear system of like a clear place to write or a clear place to sketch, so I did this like weird in-between thing. I'm much happier with my system now, but and I would take this to my job and I saw this lady who was wearing this shirt that said "Just Breathe" on it, and I thought that was funny, and she was not wearing a mask properly, and this was like peak COVID. And my job was to tell people to wear their masks because it was 2020, and that was my job, and then I always got screamed at. This was at a pizza place. I was practicing my perspective, which was fun. These were different necklace designs I did for my art history class. More little random things. I don't know why I like the spread. I just kind of do little skeleton from life. I was reading The Bell Jar in my literature class and I wanted to draw something for the fig tree thing that she talks about. This was like a redrawing of a drawing I did when I was a kid, and I used my shiny watercolors, but it was fun, just something simple. I hung out with my grandma. I visited my grandpa's grave, so I drew some stuff from that. Like, there's my grandma and I think that statue is in the graveyard. Hand studies, different things. Here I am planning for my next sustained investigation for my senior year, because I had to do 2 sustained investigations against my will, but I ended up going with misogyny, and so here's me coming up with all my different ideas and thumbnails for the whole semester, and I did end up making pretty much every single one of these that I'm pointing to. More drawings. Oh my god, Brandon Brutal from TikTok. Do you remember Brandon Brutal? Oh, my old dog. I miss my old dog. She was so sweet. Posca pens that I'm playing around with. I found this random Polaroid on the floor, or whatever that's called. Drawing strangers. I really like drawing strangers in public. Makes me feel like a creep, but it's a lot of fun. Wristband from prom. Just a random people talking about things in my sketchbook. Oh, this was fun. This is when I went to New York to visit art colleges with my family. So I went to the Met, and I was drawing that on the train. Some cats. I'm really bad at drawing cats. I don't know why their facial anatomy gets to me, but it really does. These are just little doodle stuff. Fun. I drew from life. This is when I went to Chicago, I think, with my dad. And this is where I destroyed my sketchbook. But we went to all these museums, and I was touring different art schools. And so I was just drawing from the Natural History Museum in Chicago, like, all day long while my dad answered work emails. But this was a lot of fun. I really like drawing animals from life, especially, like, skeletons and stuff. I feel like you can really learn a lot. This is random people around Chicago that I drew really quickly. Little goth song that I like from Alien Sex Fiend. These are just some random smatterings and doodles. I think this is around Halloween, so I wanted to draw something spooky. Wait, no, it wasn't. I'm just drawing Halloween stuff all year round. Every time I say that, I'm like, wait, no, it wasn't Halloween. It was like spring. I just felt like being Halloweenish. Breakdancing. This is when I was babysitting, so we drew orca whales with Crayola crayons, and I just taped in a bunch of random crap because, whatever. I like to do that. It's an easier way than filling up the page. This is like a orange spread for Harry Styles. These are some pressed flowers of all the flowers that I found walking around my neighborhood, and these are squares that I was supposed to fill in, but I never did, so I just left them blank because I don't finish anything. These were different doodles. This was outside of the Denver Art Museum. That was like Van Gogh, and that's it.
Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. This is just a current sketchbook spread that I was working on for context, but I hope you enjoyed looking at my cringe middle school sketchbooks. They were quite a ride. I think it's really special when you get to draw every day. You can look back on like different chapters and sections of your life. Anyway, like and subscribe. Comment down below which era was your favorite, which sketchbook was your favorite. Do you have a favorite drawing? Do you have a least favorite drawing? Let me know. Like and subscribe. Okay, bye.